people, it's me, Ashley. Welcome to Let's Talk Recovery Houston. So this is really cool. This is my friend Stevie, who I've known for a while. Because you were, I think I was staff, right? When you were
Yes.
at SLH. So it's been pretty amazing to get to see her on her journey and where she's at now. And so with that, I'm just going to let Stevie take it over, share some experience, strength, and hope with us.
Yay.
Yay!
All right. I'm Stevie. Do I look a certain way?
No,
Okay. All right. With everything kind of going on, I wanted to focus on my relapses. I've been in and out for 20 years now, and I started off very, very young. Young enough to not have drinking buddies yet, and I was drinking alcoholically within like a year. I know it doesn't happen for everyone, but my allergy was kind of set off instantly. That feeling of like someone had handed out the guide to life one day, and I just was absent at school when that happened, just like instantly went away, and there were fireworks, and I just felt like home and happy and at peace instantly. So I decided, like, whatever this is, I'm just gonna keep doing it. So I ended up in treatment 4 days after my 13th birthday.
Okay, so me and you were close because I was in treatment at 14. Thanks, Mom.
Right. No experience outside of like the program as a teenager. Made it really weird. And so yeah, it's a weird experience. So I didn't get the importance of working the steps. I understood the fellowship because just sitting in a room with people that are broken in the same way is therapeutic in and of itself. And we form these like crazy bonds, and we like learn how to live together, especially like trying to take steps at it that young. We really don't know anything anyways.
Yeah.
So learning how to live life together and watching each other die and learning to like be happy for other people is like this huge thing, and we like create these bonds that last over time, and people move, and you know, it's just like it's a different kind of love. But it wasn't enough to keep me sober, and it took me like a couple of years before I was able to like at least scrounge together a year. And I think I still didn't quite get it. I didn't get alcoholism or addiction in a even a medical way. Like, you know, cancer cells, they grow, right? Tumors grow, and like MS attacks like healthy nerve endings, and like alcoholics drink. Like that's what happens. So for me to sober up is really like asking for the sun and the moon. You know, I'm asking to live outside of my nature. And that's like this crazy thing that is obviously going to require like a lot of work on my part. And it's going to not be comfortable. And it was really tough to grasp because all I knew was this feels good and this feels bad. And so I'll just not do the things that feel bad, and I'll do the things that feel good. And this was like, that's kind of my like life gauge. And obviously things went awry at every turn. I've tried to follow that instinct. So, you know, I procrastinated and just like hung tight to the fellowship, and I went back out. And eventually after that, I scrounged together 4 years. 4 years has kind of been like my danger zone after that. You know, I come back in and I fight like hell, and until like the relief happens. Because when you work the steps, the monkey kind of gets off your back, and you get to where you're not craving it as much, and you kind of go out into the world and live a little. And I do that, and you know, at some point you know, as like a young adult and like, you know, later in my teenage years, I just got convinced that I needed to be like a good girl and that my problems would just be solved if I could just be like a fucking good girl.
Right, it was like a moral thing, right? You're
Yeah.
like, if I just do what I'm supposed to do, then everything's gonna be okay.
Right, because that's like the thing that I was lacking in my head like this whole time is that I'm just like, I'm a bad girl and so bad shit happens to me. And if I'm a good girl and I can have all this simple shit, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay if I can just be a good girl. So I tried really hard. And I got like a job and I was working with people and a car, and I got my own place, and I got like a fiance that like went to Baylor, and you know, I used to brag about how boring I was. Like that was like a you know, gold star for me. I'm so boring, right? Like nothing's gonna happen because I'm so boring. And holding on tight to like this idea made me really willing to ignore a few facts. And really, everything looked fantastic on the outside. And I was going to school and I was pursuing I don't know what's going on with my hair. I was going to school and I was pursuing a career, and you know, I had all this nice stuff, and really the fiance was kind of an asshole, and he did some really like mean shit, and my car sucked, and my job was sucking the life out of me, and all those girls I was working with, I just wanted you to think I was a good person. and that wasn't enough, right? It's not like applying anything that I learned in the 12 steps, because I was just disregarding like half of who I am to have this thing, which is really kind of the same stuff I'm doing whenever I'm drinking and using. You know, I'm just using different things to get high and evade like facts about life and my own feelings about it. So, you know, I go back out and really embrace my other half, right? I'm like, fuck it, I'll just be the bad dog. Yeah. And for a while it was super fun. I'm like over 21 at this point, having like a fantastic time, and I've mastered being a functioning alcoholic, which to me was like, I'm winning at life if I can function, right? Because that's what matters, is being able to show up at work. And I did for like a good while, a good solid like year and a half I got out of like functioning. And I was like, I wasn't doing good, but I looked like I was. And that's kind of like been the trend the whole time, really the whole time.
Well, it's that whole looking good from the outside, right? While you're like dying on the inside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're like, no, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. It's like, holy fuck. Fuck.
Yeah. And it, you know, I'm like, I've gotten really good at like, it's finding people away from me. And that way I just like intimacy and like vulnerability feel bad. So I don't want to do that.
Not doing those.
Because that's my gauge. So everything that feels good is really screwing me up, and I get a lot of the physical symptoms from my addiction. And I sort of form a posse around me that like is either too nice to call me out, or wants something from me, or is just like incredibly codependent and like wants to make excuses for me. Like the guy I was dating found me some liquid Demerol because I was doing heroin, and that was too dangerous. So this was like the kind of the people that I was around, right? Like the insanity.
Good enablers. Yes.
Really good. I had like a good posse of people that would protect me from my own crap. And I had a lot of it. So, you know, I get sicker and sicker, and the last day there, the last day out, I don't remember whole lot, but I was meeting that fella's best friend for the first time. I don't remember that so much as I remember punching him in the face And then later, when I was called out for swerving while driving, I kicked him out of my car and woke up at someone else's house. I don't know. So that's kind of like what that whole 2 years looked like. And leading up to that point, I kind of felt like I'm never going to get off this bar stool. Like this is going to be my life. And I woke up sick every morning, and you know the normal crap we go through, that we find like little ways of like dealing with hangovers and stuff that like sort of keep our insane world from spilling out too much. So I make a phone call. That morning to actually like my drug counselor when I was a kid. We stayed friends, and I said, I'm done. So how's it going? I'm coming over. And it was good. I really, really busted my ass and worked through the steps and tried my damnedest to dig into some things. And I got really immersed in the fellowship again. And life got hard. And I had my babies during this time, and you know, I got busy, and my connection to you was enough for a while. And life got harder. People just like kept dying in like these really horrific ways, and it was a pretty insane time. Life kept happening, and I did nothing about it. Nothing to take care of myself. And kind of the worse it got, the more I just tried to bury it. And I was sober, just trying to like completely avoid my own existence and like just show up. If I just show up for the kids, if I can just be a good mom, I'm back to that. Everything's going to be okay. I just need to like make sure these guys like survive and thrive, and that's it. So I just sort of stopped existing. I stopped existing with a lot of pain on my back too. So they, these little people I loved like kind of became my whole existence. And I wouldn't leave the house. I wouldn't, phone calls are very hard when they're little, so I wouldn't do that. And I just pushed everyone far, far away. And I really wanted people to think that I was okay. I didn't want anyone to know how screwed up I was, really. Right. So I probably could have probably should have reached out for like some help then. Only I was still really into the obsession. And this time it was like my kids. I was like, that was my high. It was like being obsessive about them, and their like happy little faces were the things that like kept me together. And they're not enough. Nothing outside of me has been enough. I tried that too many times. I know I've been in and out for 20 years. I know, but the doing is like really the hard part, especially like in the middle of a storm here. So I didn't, and I went back out. Some pills crossed my path, and I took them, and I got numb, and it was so much easier to avoid myself if I didn't feel anything, right? If I didn't have to feel, I didn't have to worry about me at all. And so physically I got sick because I have an autoimmune disease, so I just was avoiding taking care of that like altogether, and much less like my mental and emotional health had gone out the window. So I would like just try to function through that, and I did. I like paid bills and like made dinner and made sure people ate their vegetables and planned vacations, and I did all of this stuff in and out of a blackout, because the pills I was taking just like wipe some stuff from your brain altogether. Some of it's still gone. Apparently we got an elf on a shelf 1 year. No idea. I really thought my kids were joking when they were telling me about this, But I got up every morning or stayed up late to do something festive with this elf. No idea. No idea. I didn't take pictures, I guess. So they're like pretty adamant that this actually happened. Whole month is gone. I think I remember like very little from that experience. And I think that had to have been like maybe, I was out for 2 years then. And I think that had to have been maybe the Christmas before I sobered up. No, I don't know, one or the other. And I ended up, before I found myself at SLH, I ended up taking like 80 Somas over, I'm pretty sure like 2 days. I don't have a recollection of much of it, but I just got tired, and I found I had the stuff again, right? I'd managed to keep the stuff, and like my kids were like, for me being as screwed up as I was, like pretty unaffected by it. At least the drugs anyways, but I just felt so empty, and I felt so tired of like constantly having to make sure I had this in order to live.
It's exhausting.
Oh, it's terrible.
Very exhausting trying to.
Because I need this much
be
for this, amount of time, and it has to stay in my body every 3 hours because the kids can't see me sick, and I need to take only this much because I can't take this much until like 9:30. Constant work. And I got good, and I was still like volunteering and involved in all this stuff. And I hear that a lot of people were really surprised to find out that I was that bad. Everybody was just, I don't know. I had a lot of Botox too, to make sure that you couldn't tell. Like, unless you were also an addict, like the look in my eyes, real glossy. It was hard to tell. But that started unraveling, and more people would give me that look all of a sudden, like, are you okay? And I wasn't. I just knew I had to like leave right then because my pills were kicking in, and that's when I just said screw it to not enjoying it, because when you're constantly monitoring it, it's like living in a cycle of hell. Like, I can't even enjoy this thing.
Yeah, it's to the point where it's not fun anymore. You're having to do it just like maintenance, right?
Yeah.
Just to get through the fucking day.
Yeah, that's all I was doing, and that's what I was doing in sobriety too, surviving. I didn't pick up any tools. I quit entirely. So I knew this time, I had to leave home. I had to leave home for just a little bit to get away from everything that I was so dependent on. And that was so hard. But I was done. Fortunately, I still had people around me that I hadn't pushed all the way away or just were used to my shit either way. Probably the latter, if I'm being honest. And I got in somewhere. And craziness. I worked the steps this time. And it was probably one of the more painful times. I knew it was gonna suck, right? Especially like getting to the inventory, but some stuff just like, by the time I got to 6 and 7, I was all defect. I was all these survival skills gone awry by then. This was like my personality. This is all I am, right? And so I was so scared, like, I do my hour out, and I'm like reading, I'm reading the 6 and 7 and 12 and 12, and I'm just like, ugh, like there's like a physical pain associated with it. And I like, this is all I've been doing, even from back then, even through sobriety. I've been following my survival instincts, and this is like kind of what I know, and living like this sort of crazy existence that I've had.
Well, and it's frustrating when those stop working, right? When things that maybe you had to do to get through like your
Incredibly
childhood, right,
frustrating.
and adulthood, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, that's wrong. Like you shouldn't be doing that. And it's like, wait, what? You know, I've been doing this my whole life.
It doesn't fit in some of the situations I find myself in. Like, you know, sometimes, like the situation I'm in doesn't match, like, what's going on in here. Like, you know, someone gives me like a dirty look in the line at Starbucks. Like, I'm ready to go hood rat. And then I like look around and I'm like, this is not the place.
Yeah, you're like,
oh my God.
Oops, gotta keep that down.
Reel that in. But that, like, those were this is what I know, this is what I'm comfortable with. And in order to get like this spiritual change, in order to get like a psychic change, you actually have to change. And defects are funny because, you know, some of them still work for us, and we kind of have to do the math by taking a real inventory of what is this instinct to do for me? Is this something that is working or not working? And I only find that out by doing like real inventory, and then I have to be willing to let it go once it stops working, which is like super tricky because that means I have to continue doing all of this stuff, or I'm like back in like super crazy Stevie land, and then I just like cause a big mess, and then I usually like want to like go use. So it was different, and it felt different, and I think all the other times, even though I had collected some years, I was just running away from my life using. I don't think I ever once made a decision to be sober. I just made a decision that I didn't want this shit anymore. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that was enough. You know, when I make a decision to be sober and make the decision to like really try to show up and like live the steps and apply these things, and it's a lot harder to let go of something that you've chosen to do than try to live off something you just don't want. I just don't want that. And then I try to manage stuff that way, which is like my battle cry. Like if I only manage well, that's how I know when I feel that way. I'm like really screwing shit up, or I'm about to. So yeah, like going through the steps this time was like super painful, and apparently I have some other issues that I didn't know about, but fortunately I have good friends and people that just kept like dropping hints about like trying to casually bring up PTSD, and I was like, I don't know why we're talking about this, until one day it was like the 10th person, and I was like, okay, I get it, right? Like maybe I'll get a therapist and work through some stuff. So I've been doing that, and it's interesting using that as another tool, because I've seen therapists, but I mean I haven't actually utilized them. So it's weird trying something new. And new is what I want, so sure, why not? Dealing with something like PTSD it's a lot like taking inventory in very slow motion. Having to slowly crack open that door when I have like repressed something, or I've just pushed it down enough and turned it into something else, is weird, because I have to keep going back and like going, well, where does that come from? Or why do I keep doing that? Yeah. It's different, and it's a different kind of work. But I don't know, it's the same, and it's really been helpful. What's new is being able to do things on occasion, like think and feel at the same time, which like you wouldn't think that that would be just such a like crazy thing to be able to do, but sometimes it's like a damn superpower because it's so new. Because I can like make decisions and take like my emotional information into account in that, and it not be like, okay, feels bad, not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Or feels good, I'm just going to do that all the time. And that's going to be my world. And in, you know, choosing to be sober, I'm choosing life. And that doesn't mean it's like fantastic, because sometimes it sucks.
Yeah,
sometimes
life sucks sometimes. I tell people that it's not going to be perfect all the time, every day.
No.
Just because you are sober and working a program does not mean shit's not gonna happen. You'll get flat tires. You're gonna get tickets. People pass away. Like, you could lose a job. Shit happens still.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how I don't know. We, like a lot of us, especially me, convince myself that it's just gonna be like a bed of roses. And like, sure, it would be worse drinking, right? But kind of not too, because at the same time, because I don't subscribe to like what do people say, like my best day drinking, you know, is
yeah, I
as good
wouldn't
as my
change
worst day
my
sober.
like best day or my worst day sober for like my best day using or something.
Yeah, that's
right?
crazy. Heroin was awesome. I had fantastic days on it, and sobriety is real. And I've had terrible things have happened on it. Now, the terrible things would have been much worse. I would have made terrible things all the more terrible, yes. But that was all real pain I was experiencing, and it didn't not exist. When I expect that pain to not exist when I'm sober, I'm just looking for another drug. And I have to be real weary when life happens, or even if I just get like stressed out and overwhelmed, like the next thing I'm looking for to distract me is it's probably not going to be a good idea. And it's probably going to be real impulsive. Like, that's another thing. Like, when I feel very impulsive, like, screw it, let's do it. It is almost never a good idea. Almost never. Yeah. So it's changed a lot. And in getting to know, I didn't even know my favorite color when I sobered up this time. Like, I knew nothing about my, like, music. I like music a lot. I hadn't listened to music in, like, years. Because nothing I gave a shit about mattered. So it's been interesting, like, the people around me, even the ones that don't know I'm an alcoholic, or didn't know, like, it was that bad, or just don't have any information at all. Kind of see a change where I like speak, and I think it was like a couple months in, one of my kids said, "Mom, I like hanging out with you. You're funny." My kids didn't even know how hilarious I can be, right? Like, no idea that I'm a funny person. Nothing. They had no relationship with me outside of me, like, caring for them obsessively at that. We're working on that. Right? They have expressed their annoyance that I'm a little up their butts. So we're trying, and that's been awesome. I think some people are shocked that have seen me through the whole journey, the last 2 decades, that like my family, I normally like, great, I'm sober, like, there's no need to push you guys away. I just like want to be with you guys all the time. And that's not the case this time, right? It's not. You know, I have other crap to do, and
sometimes you have to take a break from family. I took a break. I had to back up and take a break from mine for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, and I have
like, I just need to work on stuff, and like, you guys still kind of have your own stuff that you need to work on. So It's okay to take a break.
I disregard all those facts though, all of them, because I'm sober now, right? I have like stuff I need to work on with them, so I'm like, I don't want to say reluctant because that's maybe a strong word, but I'm taking my time and processing stuff that I've never processed before, and kind of like redefining those relationships. I think it's different for people around me, but it's honest, having like honest, open, maybe even not open, I'm still working on that part, but honest relationships with people where I'm at is new, because vulnerability bad. I don't do that. You know, when the question of like my distance comes up, being honest about that instead of fleeing is new to me. You know, like every romantic relationship I've ever been in, I've just kind of left one day, no matter how lengthy that was. Yeah, including the like business major. I just
going
left.
to the store to get some milk.
I'm out. Right? That's what I do because it's uncomfortable, so I leave. And a friend of mine was over that's known me almost the whole time, was like, you know, kind of teasing me about it. And I have other friends that will call it like, oh, they like pulled a Stevie. And I'm like, wait, what does that mean? So that was broken down for me this year, that is something I do. And I had no idea that it was that bad, that it is. But like having to sort of like be in uncomfortable situations is hard. It's hard to be uncomfortable. I'm so obsessed with my own comfort. And that like really kills me. It really does, because I can't live life and expect to be comfortable all the time. So it's been, you know, it's been 17 months of that this time around. And I don't know. It feels different because it doesn't feel like a pink cloud. It doesn't feel like...
Because it's real, right? It feels real. It's not like some Hallmark movie, right?
It's not at all. I don't know. I'm unsure if there's going to be a happy ending, you know, one day. I'm unsure. I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm kind of okay with that because I don't have to put things in my body every 3 hours. And I get to be myself. And I don't get to do that because I out there, and even when I've been real crazy and working steps in sobriety, I sort of become a machine to get whatever is like getting me high at the moment. Like, you know, I don't have a personality. My personality is whatever it needs to be for you to give me drugs.
Yeah.
That's my personality. And I can't get to know myself like that. And the work it takes to be sober requires like a lot of like Stevie CSI work. I've got to like get in there and figure stuff out. And I can't like mainline other people and like positive vibes to like make it go away. Like there's Netflix, some shit just sucks and some shit is really awesome. And the trick is to just try to be present for both. And it's, you know, it's a big thing. It's a big thing to do when you've spent your entire life like kicking over sandcastles and like running from things. I really developed like kind of not a lot of coping skills, and like learning really basic stuff is hard, but so much more attainable with the right people. And trying to like let them in is, I don't know, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, but it's honest. And you know, it's better. It's better because, you know,
It's hard. Being vulnerable is hard, right? Because when you let people in, those people can hurt you.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're
Or
going to
I
have
can
bad
just
feelings.
pretend that they do and run away.
Yes.
Either way. You know, it's a real trip, but it's exciting too. Like in the way that I'm like experiencing life Not exciting in like I want to jump for joy kind of way, but in like okay, we'll see what happens next. We'll just see what happens next. In sobriety and real sobriety, there's a chance that the next chapter's not gonna like suck ass, right?
Yeah.
I have a chance, and even when horrible stuff does happen, like I don't, whether I cause it or someone else does, doesn't really matter. Well, if they cause it, I don't have to make it much worse. That's a choice. I can make choices. Not all the time. Sometimes I'm still, all reaction, but I do get some say so in my own life, which is, new looking at it from that perspective. So yeah, it's been weird.
So what's recovery look like for you now? You sponsor women? Do
Yes.
you? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. How's that been?
It's been
The
good.
12s, sharing the message. Was that hard? Were you like, oh shit? Or have you liked it?
I like it because, I've got, the big book is where it's at, right? Like that's where all like this good stuff happens, and it's like unique to each person that reads it, and there's still like pretty specific instructions at the same time, and I think it's awesome, and there's other ways too, just making myself available, which I like kind of suck at, but I'm working on it, to just like show up for people, is it's something, right?
Well, and you're still going to meetings, right? We were talking about that earlier. You're big into Zoom meetings. You're liking the Zoom meetings?
Like might be a strong word. Participating, certainly. I've noticed I have to go to more than I would regular meetings. But there was this first kid's like spring break since sobering up again. It was just like I was just stuck with them all the time, and all of their friends were over, and I couldn't make a meeting. And I made some phone calls. I stayed connected to people then, and was still sort of dissecting my daily experience and like kind of where I was at, and that experience. That very long, like, it's really like a week and a half, it's really been helpful in this, like, not being able to have access to you and like be around you if I just like feel crazy, right? And I can't expect like just being around you to like fix me either, right? Just because it feels better.
How do you think recovery has impacted you, your life, and your choices?
I can make choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. I can make choices, and I don't have to just react to the world around me.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so here's a fun one. Which, I love it. What's your favorite or most liked thing about recovery, and what has been your least favorite or least liked thing about recovery? It was funny, I asked someone this and they're like 4 step, 8 step. I was like, okay.
Man, the 4th isn't so bad because like you get the big chunk out of the way. It's the having to like continue to do that kicks my ass. Like I can just like, that can just suck, and I can like deal with that because there's an expiration date when I finish it. I don't know. I think continuing to like try to make myself vulnerable to people, or just like even when I'm not in a vulnerable situation, just like feeling vulnerable is awful. It's super uncomfortable. Like I get that there's benefits to it, but it's not festive for me.
No, it sucks.
And I don't know, I think just like not being attached to the tether some days is like enough to be like this great, right? Like if I have to like go somewhere, it's not like a 19-step process. I can just like pack a bag and go. I don't have to like have a dealer swing by my house at a certain time and like have to rely on their like unreliable ass. So it's
like tweak your time, right? I'll be there in 5 minutes and it's like 2 hours later and I'm like, where
it's a lot of places to be. Stupid drug dealer, don't you know? Yes, I need that many. I'm gonna be away from you for like a couple days. Yeah, I do enjoy the freedom. The freedom's, I think, my favorite part.
So, have you had a hard time this time balancing kids, right, and job, and quarantine, and your recovery this time, right? Because it's a lot.
It's constant. I don't think anybody, like, in the world, not just people that are, like, naturally broken, right? So I think everybody just struggles with balance. And the stakes are high to figure that out. But I don't know. I'm trying. It's hard to maintain boundaries with people, especially, like, when it comes to the kids. And they don't want to, right? They want to play, like, Super Smash Bros with me or, do something instead of like me taking time to like be in a Zoom meeting right now. And it is real hard, to like leave the house when there's hugs and they don't want you to go. And it's hard to do that. And it's hard to take like time, not just with meetings, but like, with working with other alcoholics or just being with having a life at all is a lot. And then work, I mean, we all kind of have to do it. So, yeah, it's a struggle that I have to maintain as best as I can. Because I start to feel real crazy, like, when I'm getting extra off balance. And so I've got some good, like, indicators, at least in line.
That you've been able to stay plugged in this time, right? Because wasn't that what you weren't able to do before, right? Because you just focused on the kids.
Yes.
So, yes. I mean, it's good. So you have figured something out that's working.
Well, the trick is the balance somewhere in between, like mainlining, like, other people. And this is a really weird analogy, but I mean, that's what it feels like. Using other people to, like, get high and, like, try to supplement all recovery with just, like, how it feels, as opposed to just, like, nothing at all. And we tend to be, like, creatures of extremes. And so finding that, like, middle ground is awkward as hell. But it's, I've had some help. I've had some help from, like, good people, like, helping me learn how to navigate that.
That's good. So you have a good support system then.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think there could be more resources for people available, like to recovering addicts? Do you think we have enough resources, or do you think there could be more?
I think there could always be more resources. But I think we're doing better, right? We've only sort of figured something out, at least to do in order, like with books and like various versions of that, since the 30s. And I think we've like come a long way from like hunting people down to go visit in hospital beds.
Yeah, sticking them in like a psych ward and stuff.
People know where to find us or where to find people, and that's kind of maybe the most we can ask for, as far as like helping people in early recovery during a quarantine. I have no idea. We're back in like kind of a flying blind period. We don't know how that works. We're just doing the best we can. I think it's just like making ourselves available. And sometimes it's like awkward and weird to talk to new people. Or sometimes like so many people are talking to them. It's weird. It's weird getting to know new people. But I think we're doing okay. I think we're doing okay for the amount of time we've been taking a stab at it. I think maybe we'll get better in some areas and fine tune it a little, but it is what it is.
Where do you think you would be right now if you would not have made certain phone calls and taken a break and gotten into sober living 17 months ago?
I would have thought 80 Somas would have killed me, but it didn't. I don't know. I think I was running out of options, and I think it's easy to say dead, but obviously I'm a damn cockroach. I just keep on surviving. I think, like, obviously wishing I was dead, but man, I'm never that lucky whenever I go back out. I just keep surviving, and I don't know, just more of the pain. I think I would have just lost everything. I would have lost my kids, I'm sure. I would have lost all the stuff that I used to pretend, that I was okay. There wouldn't have been, like, a designer bag in sight, right? Like, they all would have been sold. And, I think it just would have been really obvious to everyone if I had, like, another 6 months out there even. I think I sobered up and I made a phone call, like, just in time.
So do you have any advice for anyone that's out there that's maybe questioning getting in recovery or struggling with their recovery, right? Because we're in this weird place and maybe they're like, fuck, what do I do? Like, this sucks. So any advice for those people?
I don't know. But it's taken just doing it. Like, just especially in the beginning, right? You're not worried about anything but getting the damn monkey off your back. And like, there's like a clear-cut way to at least assist in lessening that constant craving. A little time separating yourself from, like, rituals and like going through the steps is like this hugely powerful thing that works very quickly if you work them quickly. That's fucking first round through the steps that's the easy one, right? It is. It is. It's just embrace it.
Just do it. Just do your force out. Right. We have some people held up on that, and I'm like, just do it.
Yeah.
So you want to give any shout outs to anybody? You did good.
No, I don't think I think I've done, like, fairly good at not mentioning anybody else's name. I think I'm good. Thank you. This has been
This
weird.
was fun. Was it weird?
Yes, it's weird. But it's fun. It's fun to hang out with you.
Yes, I know I haven't seen you in a long time. So, quick shout out to Transformation Enzymes for letting me use the space. And if you or someone you know is struggling, AA.org is always available. There's numbers, there's Zoom meetings. And check Stevie out. She will be on YouTube and at Facebook. This was awesome. Bye, you guys.